Okay, we're live. Okay, I would like to introduce my guest today, which is modern day mystic Kate May. Welcome. Now,
Thank you.
You have got a lot under your belt. I mean, it's like I was getting tongue-tied with it all. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself a bit more, on what you do and, what you do and stuff. So,
Okay. So,
what is modern day mystic?
well, actually, so predominantly I do tarot readings. That's tarot
Mhm.
psychic readings. That's my main thing. But I've studied astrology. I've studied paganism. I've studied angels,
Oh,
numerology.
wow.
I've just finished a course on feng shui, so I'm now a feng shui consultant as well. So
I can't wait for it.
when I first started out, I knew that I had lots of other interests, and I think my name originally was Truly Tarot, I think. And then I thought, if I do the tarot, then if I have a tarot as a title, then that's all I'm really going to be able to do. And I knew I wanted to do other things, so I just came up with the name of Modern Day Mystic, so that I could incorporate anything without having to keep changing the name. I thought under the mystic belt, I can just do anything and add to whatever I want to do. And that's probably about 10 years ago. And that seems to have worked for me.
Well, you actually inspired me because I've changed my YouTube channel. And I tell you what, Kate May, I don't know about you, but I've changed my name so many times and I've just not comfortable. And it was Katie Tarot. And I'm like, a bit like you, because I'm doing the podcast and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to stick to one sort of version of it. It needs to be sort of thing. So you inspired me to sort of like, well, actually that's quite nice, and it's sort of so
Yeah, you can
and so
just
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You
Yeah.
can do it then. And when I help people with their businesses, I always say to them, it's really important to have your own name in there. When you think
Yeah.
of all the well-known people,
Yeah.
particularly in mediumship, when you look back at Gordon Higginson, Colin Fry, Mavis Patilla, Gordon Smith, they've just got their own name. People just know them by their own name. They haven't got any fancy titles. So I always think it's good to have your own name out there, but you can have a subtitle like I have as Modern Day Mystic, just to bring in whatever it is that you want to incorporate as well. But I do think your own name is important within that. And I used numerology when I did my name. I looked at the numerology just to check in that it was going to balance out. And when I named my shop, I checked in with the numerology of it and just tweaked.
Oh well, I can't wait to hear about that in that, because we are going to get into and got questions to ask about numerology and stuff, and how you sort of fixate it in personal as well as in the tarot, because I'm very intrigued with that, because I don't know about you, Kate, but with me I find like you're forever learning with the
Yes.
tarot. There's always a new way of doing it,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing.
Yeah,
And
there's always add-ons, and I've started. So I don't know, a few years back, I started using tarot with manifestation. So although tarot is predominantly for predictions and insight and guidance and clarity, I accidentally set some cards out for something, and then over a new moon, and then a year later, when Facebook came on and it does the it shows you what you posted, I looked at the cards and I was like, oh my god, all of that's come true, but not in the way I expected. And then I realized that you can manifest and you can create the energy of it. So I started
now
to
I'm
work
intrigued
with
with
tarot.
that.
Yeah, it works. So I started to work with the tarot as manifestation. So pull in particular cards for certain things, like if you want a new job, go for the Ace of Pentacles, put that on your altar. If you want to travel, put the World on your altar. If you want a new love, get the Two of Cups or the Lovers. So picking cards that you want to bring in as the energy. And then I ended up writing a little book on that. So tarot manifestation absolutely works. And then when I qualified as the Feng Shui consultant, I thought, actually, the house has got the 9 areas. Your home's got 9 areas. So therefore, you can use cards in those areas. So if you want the southwest area, which is love, put the love tarot cards in there. If you want money, which is the southeast, put the tarot cards in the southeast. So you can have it either on your altar or break it down into the Feng Shui areas. And it works. It definitely works.
I like I said, I can't wait, but I want to get into the nitty gritty of you first, as like how it all began with you. What started you on your path? You know, so where did it sort of like
So
start
it's a
from?
bit of a long story. I'll try and keep it as
Oh
short.
no, I'm all ears.
So let me just shut the door. I've just shut it. My son's come in.
Yeah.
They're so noisy. Teenage boys. Okay, so I don't know. So my eldest is 18. So I always had an interest in the tarot, astrology. First at school, I was able to just guess people's star signs, work out their personalities, and even now, like 40 years on, I can still remember all my school friends' astrology signs, zodiac
That's
signs.
amazing.
So and my mum used to read the stars in the magazine, so I got a bit of an interest from there. And natural medicines, using lavender to help you sleep, things like that. So I had an interest as a child. Didn't have any spooky experiences really. Didn't have the gift as a child. Didn't see dead people and things like that. Just had an interest. And then people that I connected to at school, particularly when I was 5 or 6, I was always the girl that had to look after the new people when they come in. And it turned out we stayed friends for a long, long, long time, still friends now. Turned out that those people were also into it. So anyone that I was connected to or gravitated to, we were always into sort of the woo-woo stuff. But I didn't know anything of it, just knew I had an interest. When I was
Yeah.
about 16, I think, 17, my uncle had a donut shop down our local pier, Southsea Pier, and he asked if I would on a Sunday do astrology charts for this couple that was working. They were mediums, so I did that for the summer there with them. And then I think when I was about, I don't know, 19, 20, something like that, I got a new boyfriend. It turned out that and I met him in a club, so randomly, his parents were healers and they sat in a circle.
Oh
So I just
wow.
seemed to be connecting to people, but didn't really know anything, just had this interest. And it really wasn't until I had my own deck of cards from about 15. I used to collect all magazines that had free gifts. So I had cards, I had runes, I had crystals, but I didn't know what any of it was. I just collected it all. And then when I started, probably in my 20s, I started to talk about it a bit more. And things would happen. I would say to someone, I think you're going to have a baby in a minute, or I think this is going to happen. And things started to come about. And they were like, how do you know that? I was like, I don't know. And then once I got into my late 20s, early 30s, I gave up work. I was a beauty therapist by trade, but I was in the retail, I was retail manager. So I gave up work to do beauty therapy, to have children. And then while I was my youngest, so he's 18, so 18, 19 years ago, I thought, I'm going to get into the beauty side of things a bit more, the holistic things. So I did Reiki 1, learned that. And my midwife, she was saying to me, like, once I'd had the baby, she was like, you need to go to these toddler groups. And I had quite a few friends with children, and I was like, I don't want to go. There's not really me meeting new mums and doing all of that. I like my friends that I know, I'm quite comfortable. And she kept on and on. I was like, it's just not for me. And then she gave me flyers of ones that were local. And then I had another friend who said, like, her daughter was really shy and wanted to go to a toddler group, but didn't want to go on her own. Would I take her? And I was like, look, it's not really my bag, but I'll take her just the once, and then she can carry on going and I won't go again. Well, I went, absolutely loved it. She never went again. I went every single week, probably twice a week. And one of the ladies there that was running it said to me, what do you do? And I said, I'm a beauty therapist. And she said, oh, would you want to bring your couch in and do some treatments on the mums, and we'll look after all the kids? So I said, okay. She said, if you've got any flyers, bring them in. So I took my flyers in, and she noticed on it that it said Reiki. And she said, oh, I do Reiki. So we got chatting, and she said, oh, I've got angel cards. I said, oh, I've got tarot cards. And she said, bring them in. So I brought them in, and we just started playing with the mums, doing little readings for the mums. Didn't know what I was talking about really. And I had a book, and I just sort of said that card in that position means this and that means this. But I was referring to the book, and then I would get a little bit extra popping in my head. So I say, oh, I think this as well. But I really didn't know what I was talking about. And then that turned into once every 6 months, somebody would say, would you come to our house and do readings? So we did. She was a medium, so I did the card, she did that. And I would take the book, we wouldn't charge, take the book, and I'd be like practicing on people. And that went from like once every 6 months, before you know it, we were doing it every week. Every Wednesday we would go out together. For about a year we did that. And as time went on, I could forget the book because I was starting to remember it. And then my second son was born, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go and learn this properly. So I went and did a course. Then I did the advanced tarot course to learn the reversals. And without even thinking about it, it just turned into a business. I just started to get more clients. And then I thought, oh, I'm going to do a website. I did a website, and it just grew and grew. Then I started going to fairs, and then I got a reputation for it. And it wasn't planned at all, but it just all felt so easy. So had I not, I think the universe was like, you need to go to this toddler group to meet this person to start doing this. So one way or another, they got me in there. And what was interesting, so my second husband now is a medium, trance medium, and I'd met him through an event, and about 10 years ago. And when I was working for the couple doing the astrology, she said to me, you're going to get married twice and you'll work in America. And I was like 16, 17, and I thought, no, what's she on about? And I did move to Spain in my 20s and thought, oh, maybe she got the country wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was with my husband, and we were in Bournemouth, not in Southsea where I was working, in Bournemouth, chatting to his mum, and she was saying that she used to work down a pier, and she described the booth that she was working at, and I thought, that sounds familiar. And she said, we had this little girl work for us doing astrology. My friend Ron got his niece. And I was like, I was that little girl. And your son is my second husband that you predicted. And we did go and work in America for a few years.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'd met her like 30 years before I'd met my husband, which was just bizarre. And they weren't local. They live in Bournemouth. I lived in Portsmouth. So it wasn't like Portsmouth's very, very tight. You know, everyone knows everyone, but it wasn't even in the area. So there was quite a few in not just the connections of meeting people randomly in clubs and at school, but other coincidences that have just always been like, obviously this was meant to be my pathway, and building the business was just so easy, because I think it was meant to be. It was all just, you know, fell into place, and everything I've gone on to do from there, it's just been, that course has come up, yeah, I'll do that. That's come up, oh, I'll do that. It's all just fitted in.
It's just fell in. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
yeah. So I've worked on it. I wasn't born gifted at all.
Mm.
I've had odd experiences, but nothing like some people can talk about, you know, amazing things. I really had to start from scratch. I had to sit in development circles. I had to study all the mediumship, study astrology, study tarot. It didn't come as natural for me that it, you know, I would have liked. So I think anyone can do it based on what I can do. I think anyone can do it if they've got an interest and they apply their time. You don't have to be born with a bit of magic there.
I think that's the delusion of people, you know, and I can remember like going back, like that you should know straight off. And I said, it doesn't work that way. You've got to sort of put the, like you said, put the effort in. You've got to take these courses, workshop, and you just got to go with it. And you know,
Yeah,
it doesn't, it's a bit like artists, isn't it? If you're creative and you've got that artist, you can do those pictures, but if you want to expand,
exactly.
you do more training. You know, you
Exactly.
got the talent there. It's just putting it
Yeah,
into
yeah. And
practice. So
there's, you
you
hone
know
it
what?
in. You can just like perfect it by doing the courses or doing the classes, you know. And I do know some people that have got a little bit of an ability and they're quite happy with that. And I'm like, gosh, you could be really good if you sat in a circle. Why wouldn't you want to sit in a circle and develop it? Why would you just be happy with a bit of being mediocre? But some people are, you know, they're all right with that. But for
Yeah.
me, if I've got an interest in something, I like to study it, and then I like to do it properly rather than just touching on it.
Yeah, no, I get what you say. I mean, I've done my Reiki, like you, I done my Reiki, but I done it about 3 times because I needed to sort of like and I ended up doing an actual proper course, which was like a 3 month course, which was better for me because I overthink things. So it was like I couldn't take all the information in so quickly. And it's because it's a lot, isn't it? It's just there is a
Yeah.
lot to do with it all. So you know, it's not just like you just put your hands on, there's more detail
Yeah, the
into
mechanics of
it.
everything. The mechanics are so
Mm,
important of everything, and I love learning the behind the scenes side of
mm,
things, not just doing it
yeah,
there. And even with the
yeah.
tarot, I did the course, and then I went out and did it for a good year or so without charging, so I could just get practice and remember things. And I didn't really, I mean, obviously I knew the tarot, but I learned so much when I started to teach it, because my students helped me learn more with the questions that they were
Yeah.
asking. And
Yeah.
because I was writing the course, I had to study it even deeper because I was putting a course together. So I learned loads more when I started teaching 10 years after I started working. Loads more. So it's always developing, and like you say, there's always things you can learn, and adding to the feng shui and adding to the manifestation. 2 or 3 years ago, when we've even thought about that with tarot, I'd have just used it for what it is, but there's always something that can be built
You
onto
could
it, or
find.
that it explores it more.
So how did you realize that you had that mediumship?
So
Sorry,
the
my tongue.
mediumship came after the tarot and astrology, and I was already working as a psychic doing the readings,
Hmm.
and then every now and again I would just feel a little bit of different energy, because you got your psychic energy, which you can feel, but when you're working mediumistically, it feels different. So I
Hmm.
started to feel the spirit building, but didn't really know what it was. And then I had impressions in my mind, and I was starting to visualize things and see things. um, and first of all, they would show me things that weren't very nice. So I would see predictions, and then the next day they'd be in the paper. I remember seeing a rail crash, and then the next day it was in the paper. There was quite a few things like that. And then I would say to people, I knew that was going to happen. I saw that image, because no one believed me, because I always said it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I had a prediction in my mind. I just saw, I think it was a red, or could have been blue, a van that was overturned. So I said to someone, look, I'm just telling you now, I've just seen another image, same as the others, and it's this colour van, and it's on its side. And I'm letting you know so that when it happens, I've already told you first. Well,
Yeah.
months later, I moved to Spain, and there's three of us that drove red, white, and blue van, and we all had a different one. And I can't remember which colour van it was, but one of the friends, when we got to Madrid, because we drove to Spain, had a crash, and the van
Oh
overturned,
God.
and it was the same image. And I said to my first husband at the time, I knew it, I told you. And as everyone was like panicking around, are they alive? And all I was like, I knew it, I told you. And then I started to acknowledge it more. I was like, oh, okay, so obviously they want to work with me somehow. And that's when I started
Hmm.
sitting in circle and developing. But I wasn't really getting so much mediumship. I was just getting snippets of things. But when I started, and all the bad images, if you like, as soon as I acknowledged it and said, okay, I'm gonna learn this, that stopped. So I think it was like they were getting my attention. And if I'd have only got nice things, I probably wouldn't have recognized it. So they had to show me things that were
Right. Okay. I got
a
you.
bit out there, so that
Yeah.
I pay attention. If they were just going to show me like pretty pictures of ducks, I don't think I would have acknowledged it. So I think they had to show me some stuff that I was really going to wake up to. But that stopped as soon as that third accident happened. That stopped. But while I was working over the years doing the tarot, I would get this little extra energy. And then I would say to people like, is your mum in the spirit world? And they'd be like, yeah. So I'd be like, and would you understand this? And I would just give them what I would get. And at the beginning, sometimes they'd say yes, sometimes they say no. And then I'd go back and be like, can you give, in my head, can you give me a bit more? So I'd ask a lot of questions in the beginning as I was working it all out. So I kind of had hands-on training during a psychic reading, really, and that got stronger and stronger. And then I went and sat in development circles, and I was really fortunate to go on courses with Mavis Patilla. I've done Gordon Smith. I've seen some amazing teachings with some amazing mediums. So I've had first class teachings. Billy Cook, another good teacher of mine, TJ Higgs. And from all of them, I was able to kind of put things together in more of a toolbox. So I've worked
Yeah.
out what works for me based on all their different teachings, and I've learned loads over the years. So now it's I know what comes in, I know what's psychic, I know what's mediumship, I know if it's your mum or your dad, and I don't have to ask all the questions there. I'm already with it. But it was a build up of, I'd probably say, a couple of years of just practicing with clients as I went along. Really, I was just fortunate enough to have that hands-on experience and have it as I go along there. But it just came in maybe 10 years after doing tarot as like a little snippet, and just built and built once I learned to trust it and work with it.
I think you do, don't you? You start opening and expanding. I mean, mine was dreams. I started out like having dreams and stuff, and it would be again, like you said, it'd be like with around the family or friends, or it'd be relations. And it it's still trying to balance that, because it's trying to, I still get odd dreams and stuff like that, and I write them down when they're really strong and apparent, but it's, yeah, I'm still in that borderline at the moment of like still trying to get it. So it's like, yeah, but I understand what you're saying. It's more building,
Yeah,
building those
and
skill base up.
yeah, and they know how you work. And I'm a Taurus, so I'm slow. So I'm a slow builder. And like you said, you did the Reiki 3 times. The tarot took me a long time. I did a 10-week course and I didn't have a clue what I was doing at the end of it. It took me a long time to go back over it. It wasn't really until I started to do the reverse ones and we touched back base over the upright ones that I started to get it. So they know that I'm slower. So if they were going to bombard me with everything, that wouldn't work. So to do it in stages, do it in layering is how I work. So they're only going to ever
Yeah.
give me what I can handle.
No, I absolutely did it. Well, you've already thing. I said I was already going to ask how did it work for you. You've already expressed that. What have you learned the most by your work as a medium and tarot reader?
Oh, I think to trust, that was probably the biggie. Patience, patience and
Okay.
trust. And the yeah, probably that. Understanding the difference between my ego and the
Mm-hmm.
spirit, or my soul, let's say. Understanding the difference between my soul and the spirit, and my ego is probably the biggest game changer for me. Recognizing what my ego wants to what my soul needs. Once I got that,
Okay, so
simplified things.
how did you simplify that down then? How did you get to
So
that?
I just had like conversations in my head about it. So obviously it's my guide and they just talked me through it. But basically my ego, so I have a lot of ideas, I do a lot of different things. I have a lot of ideas. And over the years, I wanted to push some of those ideas. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I want to be here and I want to be there. And there was a particular group that I was involved in, wasn't the best group. They were quite toxic, spiritual people. And I knew, my gut feeling was, I knew I shouldn't be there. But my ego was like, look, I want to be here because I know I can get more work here. I know that I can meet new people here. And actually, I don't want to be pushed out of it. So my ego was like, I'm staying, even though my instincts is like, this is toxic. You need to get out.
Yeah.
Eventually, I did get out, and it got worse before I got out. Once I got out, everything calmed down, and then I was like, okay, so that was one of the things I recognized. Like, I wanted to be there for my own stuff, so that's ego led, but my soul would have been like, actually, you'll be a lot calmer and you'll still be able to do it all, but in a much nicer way if you step away. But all these things that I wanted to do and push, which is my ego, like, I want to be here, I want to do this, I start to recognize that what's ready for now and then what needs to be parked. And it was just sitting quietly and just having a conversation in my head about why am I drawn to that. And if I'm, when you're really super honest with yourself, you can say to yourself, that's because I want fame, or I want money, or I want this. Whereas when it's your soul, it's like, actually, we just want to be happy, we just want to be peaceful. So I learned the hard way, but just to separate my ego and my soul by having conversations with myself, saying, why do I want that? Why am I driven towards that? Why do I know that's bad for me? Why am I still going there? And asking all those whys, and then keep going back, but why, and breaking it all down and breaking it all down. Eventually I got it, like, oh, okay, I get it now. And now it's really easy to know, like, I just know I can go into my stomach and I just know, right, that's my soul, so that's okay. And one of the things, again, we need to do this because when you're running a business, you have to promote yourself, you have to get your reviews done. And for a long time, I was putting out there, oh, this person has said this about me, this person has said that about me. And again, and I had a conversation like, do you know, my soul knows I've already done that during the reading. It's done. I don't need to tell anyone because my soul knows it's done. And that's as good as it gets. My soul knows I've done it. My soul knows about the accuracy and what's helped that person. I don't need to share it with anyone. I don't need to go telling everyone because my soul has already experienced it. So it's
Got
done.
it.
My ego
Yeah.
wants to share it. My ego wants to tell everyone about it. So that again helped me understand the two. But sometimes when it's business, like I said, you've got to put reviews on. But it
Yeah.
certainly helped me understand, like, why am I doing it? It's like, why? It's all about, for me, asking my question, why am I doing this? What's bringing that to me? Is that making me happy? Is it not? And I think your soul's purpose is just to make you happy. So if something's not aligning, it's just going into your stomach and like, why that? And once your soul has experienced it for the first time, you don't need to go back there. You don't have to regenerate it. So
Because
yeah, it took a bit of a while, but it's conversations in your
no,
head.
no, I get that because I used to ignore my gut. Well, I'm getting better, but I used to ignore my gut a lot in personal matters now. But it would bubble, wouldn't it? It bubbles. It starts bubbling, and you've got to make the change. And sometimes change is really scary, isn't it? Or facing that aspect of yourself. So it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. So yeah,
And I think also, like, talking about, aspect of yourself. So working on your shadow side is a really good game changer at finding out where your ego and your soul is, understanding yourself. And that's where, like, some people do human design, some people do the astrology. I'm really understanding your astrology chart can help you understand yourself, warts and all. I'm a typical Taurus, and one of a Taurus traits is manipulation. I can be very manipulative. It's not a nice trait, and as I've got older, I've learned to hone that and become a little bit more calmer with that. So I recognize when it's coming. Definitely as a child, I was very manipulative. But when you understand yourself, then you can be more honest with yourself. So when you work on your shadow side, it's like,
yeah, I
actually,
agree.
that's not a part of me I like, but it is a part of me. So I have to own it, but I do need to calm it down a little bit there. But it's once I worked on that, I mean, years ago, I would never admitted that I was manipulative. I would have been like, oh no, I'm perfect. I'm not going to say that. Now I don't care about that because I'm
Yeah,
all right with it. It's a part of me. It's
it's
not a nice part, but it
exactly.
is.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm a Gemini, so I got Gemini in me, but I've got the moon Scorpio.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I do wear my heart on my sleeve. So I've got the conflict. That's why I'm up here, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
affects the emotions too. I got I hope you don't mind us looking
yeah.
at the chats as well. Okay, I was born gifted, and it's been a lot of work and study to understand how to fine tune them, and always will be development journey until I leave this 3D plane. There's so many doors offered for. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Forever learning. And
forever.
that's exciting.
Absolutely.
The journey can be
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. She's sharing we are all light and dark ones, wouldn't exist without the other. And understanding and acknowledging that creates the yin and yang balance within. Absolutely. I think, like with you, Kate, and what Priya says is when I had, because I had a car accident, and that was the turning point for me. I had to face myself
Mm.
because I was like out, just spontaneous and I had to sit with myself and stuff. And I started using tarot as a self development, doing the self development side and trying to understand. And I loved it, So forget my points again. Oh, my tongue is like not working today. I'm gonna let you do all the talking,
Tarot's
but
so good for going deep in within.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
when I blended it with the feng shui to me is like that it's your home, your environment. So it's like the outer layers. Tarot's the nitty gritty on the inside. That's what I feel like. You've got one is the outer, one is the inside, and tarot can go deep, really deep.
There's so many layers. I mean, the free readings I do on YouTube, it's like 3 or 4 cards. That's just like the surface level.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
ain't even getting into the deep nitty gritty stuff, because you've got to look at other avenues, haven't you, in the mix of it all as well. So
absolutely.
it's it's just it's not one for all, in it. It's
No,
like
no, No, you
You've
could have
got
the same card for 10 different people and it'd be a different reading. You'd be
yeah.
drawn to different things in the card, but you'd layer it with your psychic of the imprint of the person you're
Mm,
reading for. So it'd be different, 10 people, one card. Yeah, there's no one
yeah.
size fits all.
So you created your own deck. I'm
We
intrigued
did.
about. Yeah, can you tell us a bit why you done that? Created your own deck, and yeah, what
Yeah,
it
well,
means to
again,
you.
at the beginning, I had the idea, oh gosh, maybe about 8 years ago. There was 3 deck ideas that I had, and to combine tarot and astrology was one of them. And at the beginning, it was like because I wanted to have a deck. I just wanted like to say, yeah, I've created a deck. The work that goes into it changed that definitely. So initially, I started off doing it just for my students. And then other people were like, well, we'd like to buy it as well. We'd like to have that. So I published it so that anyone could have it. And I have got one. The first deck I published was an oracle deck. I don't have those cards with me. And it's, what's that called? Modern Day Mystic, I think. No, Mystic
Oh,
Messages, that one. And that's just a fun deck. There's like 45 cards and they're cartoon images and they're very blunt because I'm quite direct. So it's like yes, no's. You did ask, and they're all categorized so that you can pick one for love, one for money, one for career, one for spiritual, one for general, one for health. So you can have a blunt answer to a direct
sound
question.
fun.
So they're just, yeah, they're good fun. And that took forever to do. And then these ones, so there's a lot out there where it has the astrology to the major cards, get it right. So you've got Mercury with the magician there, so you bring in the astrology because you bring in
Oh look,
a different layer to it. But what
yeah.
I wanted to do, which didn't see anywhere, was the minor cards bring the astrology in to give it another layer. So for example, whichever one I've got here, the 4 of swords. So it's got a little bit at the top of what it means for the tarot. Then underneath, this is the Jupiter in Libra. So it talks about what that means, which connects to
That's
the card. So
brilliant.
every single card has an astrology connection to it.
Yeah.
And it
And
just gives
comes
it
in
another
handy if you're doing career and work and that,
absolutely.
because yeah,
Yeah, and it can
yeah.
help with timings because it can tell you, the months. Sometimes it can help with the timings. If it's a person card, it can help talk about their personality. If it's one of the people card, so you could be like bringing in that certain aspect of a person around. But it just I just thought it gives another edge, and I couldn't see anything out there that has it on. So I am going to be writing a book next year. I've got a mini book that goes with these cards, just a small one with some spreads and things in it. But I am going to be writing a bigger one next year, so people, if they don't want to buy the cards, they can get a better insight into the astrology layer in it. And it just means that you can do the tarot as normal, but if you learn the astrology, you've just got another edge to it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to have that. Because I'm not embarrassed about. I mean, when I first started out, I think, oh, I need to know everything and stuff. But I'm not embarrassed to get the book out
No,
because it gives you a different perspective that you haven't considered. So you get like the meaning of the card, then you pick up what you're picking up vibrationally, and then you get another layer on top of it. So one card, you can have a really impact reading just on that base one card as well,
absolutely.
can't you? Uh,
Yeah,
so yeah, so it's
yeah,
good to have that. I like that. I have seen another deck like that. Well, I have got one deck like that, but I've seen, and they've got like the yes and no
yes, I've seen them.
things on it
I've
as
seen
well.
them. And I've seen cards that have got the symbols, the astrology symbols on it, but not everyone knows the symbols. But they're not
No,
always
I
connected
don't.
into the minor cards. They're most of the time they're just used for the major. People seem to, I don't know, artists seem to forget the minor. They always seem to home in the detail. There's a lot more detail on the major than what they can put in on the minor. So I've tried to bring the minor alive a little bit more.
Do you know the ones that I really struggle with is the numbers. I struggle if they've got like the Roman numbers, and also my pages and knights and queens. I struggle that I find it hard to read them because they're people cards.
Well,
But
yeah. So I do a really easy tip. I've got, it's already a video on my, it's on one of my blogs, definitely. It's on my website. But a really easy way. So they can be people cards, absolutely, but they can also be situations. And that's why people get confused with them, I think, because they're like, is it a person or is it a situation? So the people can be easy as like a page can be, for me, the pages are somebody usually in their 20s or just someone younger than who I'm reading for. So if I'm reading for an 80-year-old, a page might be a 50-year-old. So I don't have it set as being in their 20s. I just have a page as being someone younger. A knight for me is somebody who is more driven and wants to action things. Pages are like, we're just thinking about it. So I always think of pages as either a younger person or like a seed. So it's just the seed, it's just the idea. And then knights are a bit older, a bit more mature, but they are keen. They've got a lot of energy, just like, you know, people in their 20s usually, or 30s, a lot of energy. But knights take that page to the next level. So they plant the seed. So then the pages are a seed, the idea, nothing's happening, they've just got an idea. The knights action it. So the knights plant the seed if we're talking about a situation.
So you would say that would be like the aces, wouldn't it? Would that be like the aces?
Pages are similar to aces, because aces are only potential. They don't do anything. They're just potential, and pages are just potential. They're just starting out. Then we have the knights would be planting the seed, so we're actioning that idea, we're doing something about it. Then the queens are nurturing or watering. So I say the queens are like they water that seed, so they take it the next step, they water that seed that's been planted, and then the kings pick it. The kings are like when it's ready, when the flower's grown. So we go from the planting of the page to the the idea of the page to the planting with the knight, watering with the queen, and then the picking with the king. So if you remember those 4 stages, you know that a page situation is just the idea. You know that a knight situation is actioning that idea.
Yeah.
You know the queen situation is nurturing or working with it. And we know the king is the final completed package of that situation there. So
I love that.
using just like those 4 stages of seed to plant, I think is a really easy way to separate whether it's a situation or whether it's a person. And your intuition usually tells you whether it is one or the other. But if you're not sure, you can say, like, you know, it could be a person that's going to come in and action things, or it might be that you need to start putting your money where your mouth is and doing something about what you keep talking about there. So
that's probably me, that is. Get
on
with it, Care. So I got a lady here, she's like asking, what does the back of your deck in your hand look like, darling? I have a deck like that, and I'm wondering if it maybe is yours. It came to me in a bag, not a box, so I don't know.
These
the
are in a
creator.
box. Where am I? That's the back
There
of
you
the
go.
deck.
There you go. That's your answer.
That's the back, but these definitely come in a box.
They're lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the box. The Astro Tarot.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can only get them from my shop or from my website.
Don't tempt me, Kate. I got so many decks.
Yeah,
but they look really good.
Back of the box. Ooh, upside down. That's the back of the box. So where am I? Yeah, there. Yeah.
And they're quite a nice hand size as well, aren't they?
Yeah. I went for the traditional size. I played with a few big ones, and I like the bigger ones. I got used to the big ones, and even I got little hands. But when I asked a lot of people, they said the traditional size is a lot easier to shuffle. So I just went for that regular size of tarot decks, rather than the angel cards, which tend to be a bit bigger. But not everyone can shuffle those. They said they're a little bit big, so I went for that size.
Okay. So what do you think that we benefit from getting a reading? I know as a tarot reader, but coming from your personal opinion, what do you?
Well, because there's so many different spreads, so that you can look at so many different angles. But the basic is you get insight, you get clarification, and you get guidance. And you can it can help you make choices. I went for just before lockdown, about 6 months before lockdown, so before we kind of knew about it really. I went for another shop. I already had one shop; it was doing really well. With my business partner at the time, we went for another shop. We looked at all the paperwork. It all looked good. We could afford it. We, in our heads, we decorated it. We went and saw it, measured it, and we were like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then I did the cards, and we had the Tower, the Death card, and the Three of Swords. And I was like, we're not going to do
Oh my
it.
God.
And she's like, but everything's all good and all set. I was like, we're not going to do it. Something's going to happen, and we're not going to do it. It won't work out. And then 6 months later, lockdown came. Now, where we were, I was covered with the lockdown business, financial, whatever they want to call it, because I'd had the shop for about 4 years by then, 3 years. So I was already able to get any COVID protection. Had we have gone for the other place, because it had been a brand new shop, we wouldn't have got anything. So that saved us thousands and thousands. So the cards can really help you if you've got business decisions to make and you want to see whether it's going to be a win or not. I used to work in London at Selfridges at Psychic Sisters, and we would have a lot of people with, they didn't just have properties, they had countries. People would buy countries, lots of Arab people there that we would read for. And I remembered again, just before, maybe 6-7 months before lockdown, this guy came and he was talking about his business and wanting to invest in it. It was another country he was looking at, this Arab guy. And I was like, don't buy any more. Don't buy more. You need to keep hold of your money. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what choice he made, but I know for sure if he'd gone on to buy stuff, he would have lost. He would have lost money.
Yeah,
in
it
that
kind
lockdown.
of gives you the warning, doesn't it? It's like
Absolutely.
the alarm bells goes
Yeah.
off, doesn't it?
And of course,
Yeah,
people have got free will, so they can take
yeah,
that advice. I always say to people, I'm only going to tell you what the cards say. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You've got free will. I don't want that responsibility on my shoulders. You can do what you want. And I do think that so that scenario that I had with the shop, we had the outcome, I think, was the Three of Swords and then the Death card. So I changed that by not having the shop. However, we had lockdown and the business partner that I worked with still left, and it was really upsetting. We're still really, really good friends. She's my VA now. But for both of us, it was like, oh no, we're not going to be working together. So we still went through that, but in a much more milder way than it costing us
yeah.
anything. So I don't think you can change everything completely, but I think you've got free will to wriggle things. But forewarned is forearmed. So we knew that we were going to have to go through something, but we wanted it to be where we were more in control of there. And I've had stuff when I've read for myself before where I've like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I've noticed the cards will still be right, but the situation I've changed
No, I
around it
get
there.
that.
So
Do
yeah,
you find
foresight.
that I find that Kate, when I've done practicing and done readings, because I worked on the phone lines as well, and when I done relationship spreads, because that's a big one, isn't it? The
Yeah,
relationship spreads, and I find like that there's no ending, but it's just going round and round in circles, and generally that's kind of saying they've got to make the changes, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
I found that's how I interpretate it. But for a while I just didn't get it, because there was this wonderful relationship, 10 of cups, and it was all looking glory, and then the Tower card come at the end, and I'm like, oh, because you still like, I'm new to it and I'm practicing it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just giving them this wonderful information, and then I'm just going to give them like a bad card on top. Well, it's not a bad card, but it
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh my God, this is going to be like a turmoil ending. So what do you
Well, I think
feel with the
sometimes,
relationship?
yeah, relationship spread. When people say, "When am I going to meet my love of my life?" and I'm like, well, maybe we need to ask a different question, because you might never. So the cards are never going to tell you when and give you a date, because you might never. But I always say to people before, like, what are you doing? Are you sat at home, or are you on dating sites? Are you going out? And if they say, oh no, I'm not doing anything, I'm like, well, it's probably not going to happen then. I'm just going to talk about potentials. You need to do
Yeah.
something, because unless you're going to have the postman knocking, it's just not going to happen. And
No.
sometimes I'll see people, they'll come back to me after a few months and they say, oh, a couple of things have happened, but I wanted this and I wanted that, and the reading is very similar. And I'm like, have you done anything from where we first spoke? No. Well, you're just going to get the same. Then you have to do
Yeah.
something. So it's
You got to
people have
make a
personal
change, haven't you?
responsibility. Yeah, they have to take
Yeah.
some action. And
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy the ones in London as much as the ones I do here, because they sometimes just didn't understand. People that had them were just perhaps coming in just off the street. They didn't understand how it works. They expect you to have a magic wand, expect you to be able to tell them absolutely everything and when things are going to happen and
Yeah.
how it's going to happen, without them having to do anything. So
And it,
sometimes I find that people's understanding, their education, or lack of it, can be a bit of a barrier when they
yeah.
think we've just got,
Yeah. Yeah.
like headscarf and hoops and we're just magic people. It's not like that, really. They do have to do a bit of their own work.
Yeah, and that's the ball end is it like, if I was going to say to you, which doesn't happen, but if I was going to say to you, you've got to win the lottery, well, you've got to buy the ticket, haven't you? You know,
Exactly.
if you, that job, that there's a job opportunity, you've got to apply for the job. You know, you've got to put your work in.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah,
you know,
it's the
it's got
same
to
with
come.
manifestation. When people say, well, I've done my vision board and I've said to the universe, I want this, I've written it all down, and I'm waiting and it's not happening. And you're like, but are you putting yourself out there? You want a new job. Have you applied for anything? You want to be a writer. Have you contacted any publishers? Or, you want to be in magazines. Have you got a PR? So it's like they're not thinking properly. They're just like been heard a bit of drip feed, or we can manifest things, but they actually haven't studied the background of it. And people jump on the
Yeah.
bandwagon of a lot of things, and tarot's included, and just think, yeah, it's all going to happen. But it goes back to what we said at the beginning with the mechanics of it, the
Yeah.
foundation of it, and understanding comes from a place of like your intent and vibration. So if your vibration is off, doesn't matter what you're going to do, whether it's having a reading, whether it's manifesting, whether it's getting a feng shui consultant. If your vibration is off, it's all going to start on a dodgy ground. That vibration is going to ripple into the bigger picture, but from a dodgy ground. So
Yeah.
starting off with finding that inner peace and being in a good place at the beginning will help everything else. And that all comes down to working with your shadow side and taking personal responsibility, and again, understanding your ego and your soul, really understanding yourself, that once you've mastered that, anything's possible then. But you'll be in a better place to make things happen because you would have understood it there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you with you 100%, and I think that's why I come off the phone lines in the end, because I just couldn't
Yeah.
hack it, because they wanted the answers, but they didn't like the answers they were getting, and I was like, well, I'm only
Yeah.
a messenger. I can't give you, you know,
Yeah.
if I
You
could
have
make my
to.
magic wand, but it's
Yeah, and I think again, when you're doing it for a job, you want to work with your ideal clients. Now,
yeah,
I used to think, your ideal client was someone that's going to pay a lot of money. That's not your ideal client. Your ideal client is someone that's going to be open to what you're saying, want to work with you, going to take action, going to make things happen, and it's going to start being on the same level that you are. That's your ideal client, not the one that pays you hundreds of pounds to be told the same thing. That client's going to drain you. That client, you're going to be like, oh
yeah,
God, I don't want to do them anymore, even though they're paying me lots of money. That's not your ideal client. So on the phones, I've not done the phones, but I know people that have, and they always get drained by them because they just don't understand how it works. They want an instant fix. So for me, that would never be my ideal client that I would want to work. I
no,
would want to
it was
work.
great experience. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong. It was a
yeah,
great experience, but I battled with it for many years. I would dip in and dip out, and I would take it. I was failing,
yeah,
and then the penny dropped. I watched Mel Robinson, and the penny drops, and I thought, it's not for me. Why am
yeah,
I? Why, a bit like what you were saying in the beginning. I was pushing, against it, because that's what I wanted to be, this tarot reader, but I wasn't listening to actually what my soul was saying, and it
exactly that.
wasn't fitting with
Yeah.
where I wanted to, how I wanted to read and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, no, I completely, although, I will do relationships, but it's more of a different aspect than
Yeah, yeah.
just like when, unless it's a fun one, it's different than it's a fun. Right. So we've got some questions. Hi Bill, and hi everybody that showed up, because we're so engrossed in the conversation.
I
So
was going to
does
share
that
it, but I couldn't see it, and then I got waylaid. I don't know if I can see it to share. I don't know. No, I can't see it.
So does that mean whatever comes in is going to happen, and that will occur? So I'm supposed when you're getting predictions, it could take time. What do you think, Kate? Because
Yeah, it can take time. Time can definitely, and your free will can alter times on that. But my experience, yeah, when it is pretty much going to happen, in my experience from the cards, but you can alter how it happens. But if you have the Tower card, for example, as an outcome, and you've asked a particular situation in that, then in that particular situation, even if you were going to try and avoid it, you probably still have the Tower card, but it might not be in the same way. But if it's just like, if I take this job, what will happen? And you have the Tower card, but you choose not to take that job, then it may not happen because you've changed course and you've asked the question direct. But if you've just done like a general, like, well, what's going to happen in my work life, and that's what I did with my one, like generally what's going to be happening if we take this shop, and where's it all going to go with work. That's where for me I knew that we've still got to go through that, but it would be in a slightly different way. So it depends on the question, really. Another one that I did, and this I've only learned this through experience, and another tarot reader might say, no, it doesn't always happen, but for me it does. So quite a few years ago, I was going to Rome, Pompeii, and when I was staying in quite a dodgy area, and everyone was like, oh my god, don't go out at night, put your bag on your shoulders, in front of you, don't speak to anyone, you'll get robbed. And I was like, oh my god, that sounds horrendous, let me do the cards. So I did the cards, and in the cards it had the Seven of Swords, which is the sneaky card. It also had another card, I forget what it is, but it was to do with stealing. But the outcome was the Chariot. So I was like, well, I know I'm going to come home safe, but it certainly looks like I've got a bit of dodgy stuff going on. So I didn't go out at night, I had my bag in front of me, and when I come home from that holiday, I was like, that's weird, nothing happened. And yet it should have done, because it said it in the cards, but nothing did, and it kind of made me question the cards a bit. And then I don't know how many months later, I found out that my husband at the time was actually stealing from me. He's my ex now. Was
oh
stealing from me,
God.
was lying to me. So I was like, oh, okay, that's how it happened. So it happened in a different way. It still happened, but
Yeah.
way I thought, not connected to, well, he probably did steal from
Yeah.
holiday. So my experience is that, yeah, sometimes it can still go about, but the situation, but
Maybe
like I
different.
say, someone else that might not work for, but that's how it seems to
Mm.
pan out for me there. And you
Yeah.
can try it if you've got your own cards, try it, have a look, make a different decision, and see if you still have to go through that
Mhm.
situation. I don't know anyone else, I'm not spoken to any other readers whether that matches anyone else, but it does
No,
match.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that. And I also, if you're asking for a specific person, and I've done that on a personal level as well as done readings, and sometimes I'm not feeling the energy, I'm not getting the energy, and there's nothing, there's zilch. And it took me a long time. And then when I was doing it for personally, I realized like a year or so later on, it's because they're not in my life. It's all in my head. It was me mentally obsessing over it and worrying about it, and worrying what they were going to do or what have you. It was mainly in the mindset. It was had nothing to do because they're at the energy. So the energy wasn't there,
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes you get that aspect as well, that the energy is not necessarily there, but your thoughts can
Yeah,
take
I
over.
think there's a fine line between picking up on people's wishes and reality. And
Mhm.
sometimes I've heard from other people they've gone to other readers and they've said, oh, they've told me I'm going to meet this man, and they've told me this and this and this, and it's not happened. And then I've done the cards and I'm like, oh, I can't see you ever meeting anyone or ever getting that job. You're not even in the right field of work. And it's very different. And they're like, but they've told me everything I wanted. And I just think some tarot readers haven't got the experience to differentiate the connection between someone's wishes and the reality. So it can get confusing a little bit. I have an area of their mind in my spread, so I can clearly pick up what's in their mind separately to what is reality. And then I know that I'm not picking up their wishes because I've already sectioned that bit out anyway. But it feels different, when you're picking up a wish. And I just think some people who aren't experienced, it comes later on, but they could just be telling people what they want to hear because that's the energy they're finding, they're feeling.
Yeah, I've contradicted myself many a times. And I'm thinking, what? I don't understand. So I'm learning now to put the whole lot of the cards down rather than putting one card at a time.
I'd always put the whole lot.
Yeah, because I was taught, to read one card at a specific time, but it's not. It wasn't working because then all of a sudden, like I was saying earlier, I got that Tower card, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell's going on here. So everything I've said is contradicted. But
but also when you've got the whole lot in front of you, you've got like a 30-second quick snapshot of everything, so you can look at how many majors there are, so you know whether this is a really important reading from the word go or whether it's just lots of minors. You can see whether you've got maybe 5 cups and 2 swords, so it's more emotional rather than mental. You can see if you've got 3 queens. You might know, like, okay, so we've got people coming in. We might have 2 kings, so we know we're talking about a business situation. Actually, 2 queens is going to be gossip. If you've got numbers, so you could have lots of 9s, so you know that they're near the end of it. So if you're only doing one card, you're going to miss all of that that you can get, plus all the colours that jump out of you. You'd miss a whole lot before you even go delving into what the card means. You'd miss that snapshot of I always say to people, look at the whole lot first of all. Go over the whole lot first of all.
Yeah, right. We're going to look into thank you guys for coming and chatting. Free will and a choice change the outcome. We create while we speak, manifest our thoughts, and project attraction with how we feel. Your vibe attracts your tribe. That's so true. Another one. Our soul plants the seeds. It is up to us to nourish the flowers on the weeds. I like that. I like that. That's really good. No, and the lady said interested in, oh my God. She's like, oh my God. Yeah. So well, you talking about numbers, that was my next question.
I must be psychic.
You must be psychic. Yeah. What does it work? How does it work with the numberology and tarot? Now, I've delved a little bit, and I mean a little bit, but not to the extent I'd imagine that you do. So
So you've got regular numerology, then you've got angel numerology, and then you've got tarot numerology, and they're all different.
Oh God,
they're all different.
Okay.
So like for the tarot, so 1s or aces rather in the tarot are usually to do with new beginnings. 2s are usually to do with choices and decisions. 3s are usually to do with collaborations and reaching milestones. 4s are usually to do with foundations and again reaching a milestone to bring that foundation. 5s are usually challenges. 6 are usually getting over those challenges. 7s are like reevaluating and checking in. 8s are normally that pivotal point of where we're going next from the choices of the 7. 9s are near completion, and 10 is usually the completion of it there.
Right, okay. So that's like the tarot.
Very quick.
Yeah, very quick.
Yeah. Different
So
to
I knew that.
And it can get confusing when you do all the others. It can get a bit confusing there, but they are all separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, out of practice. Yeah. So what's your favorite part of being a reader?
Oh, got to be helping people, definitely. I love reading. I absolutely love reading for people. And just the whole thing of just helping people, giving people their life back, giving them the breath of fresh air, you know, when they're struggling, when they're blocked, when they're just don't know where they're going, and then they leave my room and they're like, oh, we can breathe again, you know. Even those that, if sometimes it might be a really challenging time, and you've got to say to them, you know, you're going to be in for a bit of a tough time here, but you can give them something about that. So, okay, not just telling them that, but here's some tools to help you with that. Here's some things that's going to give you a bit of positivity or give you a bit of strength. So yeah, the whole aspect of helping people, give them that hope, and that guidance. Yeah, I love it, all of it.
No, yeah, I'm with you on that. Joe says, do you have a favorite card in the deck?
The Chariot.
I was Joe. Yeah, I was gonna pick those. I was gonna ask that. So we're reversing. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite card. So I always think that when you're learning, particularly, it's good to pick a card in the morning, but don't look at it. And then go about your day. If you look at it, your subconscious has got involved. So you go about your day, and then when you go to bed, you look at the card and you see what's happened in that day that can resonate with that card, and that can help you really connect to the card. Now, the Chariot is my favorite, because when my husband now left me 3 times, each time I did the cards and I kept getting the Chariot as my outcome. So I was like, oh, he's coming back. And he did. When my cat went missing, I did the spread and I had the Chariot. I was like, going to come back, and he did. He's going to go on a journey, he's coming back. Then my cousin messaged me and said, like, my cat's gone missing, can you do a reading to see if it'll come back? Had the Chariot. I was like, he's going to come back, and it did. So I know that anytime I get the Chariot, that's personal to me. It might not be for everyone, but particularly if someone says, are they going away, is someone coming back to me, if I get the Chariot, I'm like, yeah, definitely. But it's a card of going away and coming back. It's got a military connection and a travel connection as well. So it's somebody who's like got over difficulties, got over challenges. So because of the personal connections, Chariot is always my favorite card. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And what is your least favorite?
The Moon.
Really? The moon?
Yeah, because it's such an indecisive card. It's a card of unknown. It's a card of like a phase will pass. So I like to give people like proper hard facts. Yes, no, this is good, this isn't, and good guidance. But when the moon is there, you're like, don't know. It could go either way. You've just got to trust your intuition. It will pass. A difficult time will pass, but it's a card of uncertainty. It's a card of unknown. So it's the most kind of flexible card, and it's just not my favorite, because I like to make sure that people have a hard outcome. But if the moon is the outcome, I'm like, we don't know. It's
I suppose so. With you being blunt as well, and I like bluntness. But with the bluntness side of it all, it's not giving a direction, is it? It's like
it's just saying go with the flow. It will pass, and trust your intuition. And it could go either way. And I just don't know. So I usually, if it's my outcome card, I usually pick some more cards around it, because I'm nosy and I want to give a bit more detail.
No, I'm nosy.
It's when I get it, I'm like, oh, for God's sake. But I don't tell that to the client, but I'm like, oh, my head. That's my most not liked card.
You know, the clients are going to look now and go, oh, that's the moon card. She said about that.
Yeah. You did ask.
Okay. Yeah, no. So crystal manifesting, because we were still talking about the cards, so we'll just carry on with that in a minute. So what inspires you with your work with the tarot? And
what inspires me, I think the inspiration comes from seeing people's lives change from it. You know, particularly when you have clients come back and say, I didn't expect this, I was never going to move, and I've moved and you told me I would, or never going to have a baby and I am. So that, and just being able, if somebody's in a tricky situation, to be able to help them, that's the inspiration, you know, behind it. That's the drive behind it. And that would be for everything I do. You know, the home analysis on the feng shui, it's such a game changer for people. So to be able to change people's lives, yeah, that's where the inspiration comes from, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, I like that. I mean, you have written a lot of books as well, haven't you? So you've got like things. Could you tell us a bit about the books? And
I've got a couple of diaries. The tarot diary. I have done a feng shui diary, but I don't think it's published yet. Yeah, so the diaries, I don't have them to hand. I'm rubbish, aren't I? The diaries are, or do I? I might have one. I do. Shall I go and get it?
yeah, yeah, please do.
Yeah, this is next year, 2025's one. So it is available on Amazon. So the tarot diaries are, at the beginning of them, they've got a lot of tips and things on tarot and the cards. And the idea from it came to me. I was at a conference, and on the way home, I was daydreaming, and it came to me. Like, I don't know, lots of people have heard of moonology, the moonology diary,
Yeah.
and it phases of the moon according to each day or each 3 days, and then some inspiration around that. So I knew that the tarot cards connected to a day as well, 2 or 3 days a year. So I
Okay.
researched it, found out what those days were, and then created a diary. So the beginning part, you've got some tarot spreads, some tarot tips there, and journaling. But the main part is a regular diary, has spreads throughout it. So you've got like different Sabbath spreads. So you've got Beltane, you've got Samhain, you've got summer solstice, you've got all this spreads connected to the Sabbats. You've also got the monthly tarot spread, so January, February, March. But it also has in there, so for example, we are December, aren't we? December the 10th, 11th. So this is next year's. So next year is on the 11th. So it's the 9 of Wands today. And the 9 of Wands actually runs all week up until the 13th. So the 9 of Wands is the moon in Sagittarius. So then it has a little piece. It's got like the diary part that you can write. Then it has a piece over here about what that means. So this week, the energy, it's crucial to preserve in your endeavors. You're progressing remarkably, and despite numerous responsibilities, the goal is almost within your grasp. Use this week to gather the strength and vigour required for that final effort. Although the workload may be intense and fatigue might creep in, be sure to schedule time for rest and rejuvenation amidst your task. In the realms of tarot and astrology, anticipate a potent and focused surge that will aid you in reaching your objectives. Now is the time to channel up your resolve and stay dedicated to accomplishing your aspirations. Remember, when you feel like giving up, that's the exact moment to push through and continue moving forward. Then it has a little bit about manifesting. Use this card when you need to tap into additional power and energy to finish tasks and complete projects, when you need that little extra push to keep going. So it has that throughout it. It tells you what, instead of moonology energy, it tells you what the tarot's energy is. So those,
there you go, girls.
they're £15. And I've actually been asked by a publisher to write a book incorporating some details of that with the feng shui as well. So I should do that next year. The other book, which I don't have, is called Manifesting with Tarot and Tools. And that, it started off with just breaking every single card down of how it can be used on your altar for manifestation. So, for example, if you want love, you would put rose quartz crystals, you would put 2 of cups, ace of cups, 10 of cups. You might want to put the knight of wands if you want a bit of a go-getter, somebody who's a bit of action there, or if you want someone who's a bit chilled and calmed, you might want to put the king of cups. So it talks about different cards for different things to do with manifesting. And then when I was writing it, I was like, oh, actually, I could add what candles you could use. I could add feng shui, I could add the archangels. So it's turned into all different chapters with different modalities that you can use for manifesting as well. So that and the I've got a tarot astrology workbook, which is like a journal workbook out there. So they're the books that I've got at the minute there.
Sounds interesting. And guys, in the description box, you can follow Kate. You've got Facebook. She's got YouTube channel too.
Oh, I'm on everything.
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram,
so,
a lot.
So there is, so, and her website, which I've got here as well to show. But yeah, you can just click onto it and you can find Kate wherever you want to follow her. There you go.
Instagram is the one that I do my daily posts on.
Oh,
That's
I didn't know you were on Instagram
that's
too.
probably the most active one, is on Instagram, with the daily posts on there.
Where do you find all this energy?
I just get into a routine. So I just have in the mornings, while I'm waiting for my HRT cream to dry, which takes forever,
Yeah.
I end up putting that on. And then before I can get dressed, I just do all my social media from my bed. And then once that's dry, I get myself sorted. And then I'm downstairs. I do all the videos that I need to do. And then I'm off to work. I start work at 10 at the shop. So I leave normally about 9. So I just have a real strict routine of like having
I don't
some
know where you get your
order.
energy from. I mean, when I was looking at all the things that you do, and you know what, guys, she's got a shop mind. So she's, she's a master of all here. so tell us about your shop.
So the shop is called Mystic Coffee Lounge. And again, that wasn't planned. It's another thing that just happened randomly. I had a unit, about 7 years ago, had a unit that I was working from, doing the readings and doing therapies, Reiki and healing. And I would hire parts of that out to different therapists. And I
Yeah.
started to run a circle from there. And then I said to my partner, I'd love to have a spiritual library. I'd love to have like a settee area where we had loads of spiritual books and people could just come in and chill out and read the books. I'm not kidding you. The next day, a friend of mine who she's an author, I hadn't spoke to her for quite a few years. She just messaged me out the blue and said, I'm moving to Glastonbury. Do you want all my books? And I was like, yeah. So for £50, she gave me about 300 books, all
Oh,
spiritual books.
wow.
So the next day I was able to go in the unit, get loads of bookshelves up, and we created that with all settees. And then people were like, why don't you like move to put a coffee shop in here? It wasn't really the right area. So I was like, oh, I don't even like coffee and I can't cook, but all right then. So I had some friends at the time that did that. We built the coffee area. A week before it was due to open, they decided they didn't want to do it. So I was like, oh, I'm left to do this with someone else. And then the shop that I've got now, just up the road from where I live, came up, but I still had a year contract on this other place. So initially I said no, but it was such a good deal. I thought when this runs out, I'm going to be stuck to find another place. It's such a good deal. I'm just going to have to say yes and trust that I can make it work, both of them. So I did it for a year, and then had the one place in Cosham, Portsmouth. And it started off predominantly coffee shop, little bit of stock that I had someone buy things in. And then out the back, I've got a separate room. So that's where we did readings and healing. And then over the years, the crystal shop just got bigger and bigger. And everything got bigger. And then about 18 months ago, I thought I can't do it all. I don't like cooking. I can't cook actually. I really don't like coffee, so I don't know what I was thinking about having a coffee shop. So I put on Facebook like I need someone who I want to sublet the coffee area. I can't cope with doing it all. Had spoke to different people, and this one girl I really thought, yeah, actually I quite feel a connection with her. Didn't know her from Adam. She wasn't into the spiritual stuff, which is what I wanted, because I was finding I was getting people to work with me and they were doing the kitchen area, but then because they were interested in the tarot, interested in the healing, they were only lasting 6 months because that's really, they wanted to go off and build their business doing that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want someone who's not interested in crystals at all. So Karen came in, game changer. She was worked at Costa before, barista trained, had her own business, and changed all the decor in there. Really sorted it out, and we're like a complete dream team. It's gone so well, and since she's come in, I could easily say it's probably quadrupled in
Oh,
profit in the last
wow.
18 months. It's having two people run two different parts of the business, so
Yeah.
much better, so much better. So I could concentrate on my stuff, she could concentrate on hers, and run it as a separate business. She's a much better cook and coffee person than I ever am. And everything's grown from that. So yeah, it does really well. We've been there 6.5 years now, and it's touch wood, it's going really well.
Yeah, it's
And that wasn't
amazing.
planned. That was not planned at all. That was another thing that just conversations happened
Fall in
before you knew it.
place.
Yeah.
It falls into place. That's brilliant. I'm really, yeah, I'm just like amazed. I'm still trying to figure out how you find your energy. You know, it's just like
Yeah, I've got
how
Aries
you
moon. I've got Aries, so I've got a Taurus sun, and then I've got Capricorn rising. So that's my business side. But my Aries moon, because moons are like your emotion, your drive. So I've got Aries, so I'm like full of fire from my moon. But yeah, my age now, I'm nearly 50, so my age sometimes doesn't match my brain. So I have to remind
saying,
myself every now and again, like, oh, you know, you're nearly 50. You can't run around like you used to. That's the evenings. You do need to chill out. You can't keep tapping away,
yeah,
creating stuff.
brain fog, I tell you, is terrible. It's just
Well,
like,
honestly,
you just
HRT
go
was a game
blank.
changer on that. That it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
completely. I know some people don't like to take it, but for me, it was a lifesaver.
No, I got it.
It
Patches.
worked, and I don't get that brain fog now. But it was,
Oh,
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
So terrible. As you
Things we
can
have to
tell.
go through. Things, if
I know.
childbirth weren't enough, the things we have to go through. Men have it easy.
Well, I'm just gonna get some luck off of you, Kate. Because everything is like it is amazing, and we got where's my mouse? There it is. Sorry, it's questions. We got questions here. Can you sense if someone is going through something right now?
What, as in, like, now can I sense,
You're
or as in,
asking H. Look,
like, so this is the thing, I'm only working when I'm working, so I don't tap into people's energy when I'm shopping or not working. And people do ask me, you know, I'd be on a night out, someone might say, oh, I know you are, can you read me? And I'm like, no, I've had a drink. Or if I'm in Tesco, I definitely don't. So I only work when I'm working, but when I am working, yeah, I can tap into someone's energy straight away.
it can get draining otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you're
you have
like,
to have
then you're,
boundaries.
yeah,
You have to have
yeah,
boundaries. You know, I wouldn't ask a
yeah,
plumber to come out um, and fix my pipes at 9 o'clock at night. You know, so you have to have boundaries there.
yeah. No,
Otherwise, you
I
wouldn't be.
agree with you. So tell us about the feng shui and
So
how
that's
you
a new
collab it with the
thing.
tarot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
new thing.
So we,
It's something I've loved forever, and I've half practiced forever. So I knew a lot about positions of furniture and positions of things, just
mm,
because again, it was everything I've done has been an interest. So it was really easy to learn because it's been an interest. So it was like a hobby that turned into stuff. Um, and then this course came up at in October. So I had my house done in lockdown because we couldn't go on holiday obviously that year. So, and I'm a Taurus, so I can't save my money. I have to spend it. So I was like, I can't go on holiday. Let's have a feng shui analysis done instead because they're not that cheap. And I had the shop done and I had the house done, and it was like the best day of my life, apart from having my children and getting married. Best day of my life. And I've had it. You have an update every year. Once you have it done once, every time the new year change, the Chinese New Year's, you get new remedies. So for the last 4 years, I've been getting it done. But my feng shui lady gave it up 2 years ago, but she's been kind enough to just keep me on. And then this year, I said to her, I promise I'll find someone else. Can you just do it in February for this year? Promise it'll be the last year I ask you. So I was like, I need to find someone. So in October, no, end of September, I went to a fair, Mind Body Spirit Fair, and this girl had a sign saying that she was a feng shui consultant. So I was like, oh my God, is my going to be my new best friend? So I got chatting to her. I said, do you teach it? She said, no, but my teacher is about to start a new course and there's only 7 days to apply. So I was like,
oh
okay,
God,
who's your teacher? And she said, Kimberly Gallagher. And I was already following her on Instagram. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up. Now, I thought when I first looked at it, I knew the courses in my head. I thought they were about £3,000 to £4,000. So I know they're expensive. I thought about 4,000. And it said 6,500. But I was like, do you know what? I really want to do this. This is something I've loved, I wanted to do forever. I'm just going to do it. I love the way that Kimberly works. I'm just feel drawn. I'm going to do it. So I signed up for it. But when I signed up for it, it ended up being $6,500 Australian dollars. So which was only £3,500, which is still a lot. But for me, it felt like I had a bargain. So I like had this money ready to transfer, and then I was like, oh, I only need half of that. So it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but it's such an investment. And Kimberly was such a good teacher. Just very, very good. And yeah, so now from that, I've seen instant things happen in my house.
Really?
Instant things. And I've seen other people with instant. So I've got like friends that we're practicing on at the minute, and one of them wanted a partner, been single. So I was like, okay, do this and this and this, and then within 2 or 3 days, she's like, I got a date with someone. And they all matched. They didn't last, but they all matched at the minute. So we've got a
Well,
bit more
still,
work to do on that.
yeah.
On that particular week, so November was quite a slow month in comparison to the whole year. November was really slow in the shop and for readings, and I know, speaking to other people, just quite a dry month. So on one particular week, I was on the Thursday, I'd had like just £30 worth of stock was sold, which is really unheard of in there for a week. And I was like, oh my God, next week payday is going to be dire. I need to put my money where my mouth is. I need to go and look at my remedies. So I did the feng shui on the Thursday night for my room and my office at work. On the Friday and Saturday, on those 2 days, I took over £300 in just 2 days.
Wow, that's
So,
amazing.
and there's been other things that I've just tweaked, and I haven't even done it all properly yet, but I've seen results already. So, yeah, and so I've got my own testimonials, but I've got friends' testimonials. So it is, I've had some friends that said, "Oh, I'll do it, but I'm not going to probably do all of it." And I'm like, "Well, you can't. Don't worry about it then, because the actual consultation for me to do a home analysis takes 2 to 3 weeks to do." And then
Really?
it's about 3 months worth of working together. Once that I've given them all the remedies, I want to check that they're right. So I want to make sure that it's working for them. So they'll see instant results. But if they don't see them as big as what they expect to see them or want, then I want to be able to find out why. So I need about 3 months with each client to make sure that we're really on the same page, and that they're doing, not just saying, yeah, I'm doing it, but not doing it. And also they have to learn that they've got to come from a place of inner peace as well. If their world is chaotic and they want harmony, they've got to do a bit of work on themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to at least 3 months with people to help them navigate changes in their lives. But having your home in a place of, or your work environment in a place where every room you can go in and be like at peace with and be calm. And, there's rooms that connect to your health. There's different parts of the house that connect to different people in the house, different age groups. And if somebody, I was able to say, we had a leak in our west area, and I was looking at the health, and I said to Colin, what's our main health problem? And it was to do with chest infections and dental work. And I was like, look at this, it's all in the west area. We've had the leak fixed now. So health problems, I want to get to the point where I can, when someone says I've got this health problem, and I can say what's going on in the north or what's going on in the west area. So yeah, it will be a game changer for those that are wanting to really change their lives.
Yeah.
But it's deep. It's deep, and that's what takes so long. The house analysis, you have to find out when the house was built. You have to get a floor plan. I have to use Google Maps to find and get grids of the top of their house. I have to put a compass over. I have to find all the points, and that's before I've even got into the rooms and done any of the remedies.
So it's not even going in and just like with your compass. This is like, again, we're back to the base of what we were saying earlier. Yeah,
absolutely. I have to find out the square footage of the house, because I have to know exactly. So if they need metal in a certain area, I need to know how many kilograms. If they need water, I need to know how many liters, and that can only be worked out with the knowing when the house is built, and knowing when how much square footage is in the house. So yeah, there's a lot to it, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know
and
it's
sorry, how do you, so you say you use tarot with that as well, so how do you do?
So I will do it as a separate house analysis initially.
Yeah.
And then if there's certain areas, so if they want relationships to work, or more money, or more clients, then there's cards that we can use to put in. So in my more client area, I needed fire, and I had white, which is metal color. So I had to just, and you don't have to go and redecorate the whole house. All I needed to do was get some different color plant pots, tie some red ribbon around a few things, and I got some cushions, just changed my cushions. The red is the fire color, but red wouldn't have suited my front room. So you have a palette. So red's not going to suit, but orange would, yellow would. So you can choose. So you don't have to say to people like you've got a green front room and you need it red and they don't like red. There's different colors that can still come under that fire
Right.
element.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, and then and I would also say that, and you can use these particular tarot cards as well. Now, ideally, you would want everything is there for a year, from February to February, when the new cycle changes. But with the tarot cards, you can just do it from like a new moon to a full moon, or just for 3 days, depending on what energy it is there. But the feng shui elements, remedies, are there for a year. Once you've done it, you only have to do it once.
So interesting. That is. Yeah, I fascinating. I mean, I've looked it up, feng shui and that, but it's complicated, isn't it? It's not like
Yeah,
it's
there's a
not cut
lot of
and dry.
no, there's a lot of general. So a lot of general things, and there's different compasses. So we're working with what's called flying stars. You've
Right.
got bagwords, you've got so many, you've got classic, you've got so many different types of it. So the idea is just to find one and not cross over, because that will give you different
Yeah.
information. But you can go online and it can say like to the left, far left is your money area. Then another one will be like the southeast is your money area. So that's why you have to just fix one. But there's lots of things you can do that are generalized. You can have a plant in that south, money plant in your southeast, because money is southeast. So you can put a money plant there, but the remedy might be, so plant will be wood energy, but the remedy might be fire. No, it might be water. So actually, having wood in a water area isn't going to be beneficial. So the general stuff that you get might end up spoiling the real stuff that you need. So sometimes you
Right.
can do more
Okay.
harm than good by just following Google really on it.
Get advice on there, guys. Get advice before you think. So I thought we could look at your website, because you got courses in that you offer, don't you? There's a lot. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's thing. It's a working there. Well, there's still things coming up on the website, but yeah, I've got the basic courses that are on offer. So I have a face-to-face psychic development, which is usually fully booked on there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so these ones are mini courses. So I have a online. I don't teach tarot as a live anymore. It's
Right.
the whole course is pre-recorded, downloadable for people, so that they can buy it and do it whenever they want. They can stop and start it. It's exactly the same. I just recorded the whole course as if I was teaching it. It's got different modules, every single card meaning, comes with the workbook. It comes with the meanings of every single card, plus every single card meaning for love, for health, for work. So we break it all down, different tarot spreads. So the main tarot course for beginners is that one, and I did it as a 10-week course. But what I found is, like, when I put on a course, get lots of people, you're like, yeah, I'm really interested, and then you put the date on, oh, I can't do that date, I can't do that date. So
Yeah.
you end up with 4 people out of 40 that can do it. So I just thought, you know what, if I pre-record it, it's exactly the same. People can just buy it, and then they can have it there and do it on their own. The other ones that are connected to it are, if somebody like yourself, if you've already done tarot, but perhaps you
Yeah.
just wanted to know a bit about the minor cards, or you just wanted to know the numerology, or you just wanted to know the people cards, you can just buy the tiny mini courses, which are about half an hour long on those, but they're not all live yet. That's my New Year thing. There's only a couple that are live on that. So there's a lot in place to do that will all be part of it, but
It's
not
quite handy
ordinary.
though, because when I've done my courses, I mean, this is years ago I've done my course. I mean, I really enjoyed the practical thing, but you can go back to that at any time. So if you come a bit unstuck or unsure,
Yeah.
you've got that. Is that like a private video for you? Like it's on, like it never goes away. That's for you
No.
and you only.
Yeah, once you bought it, it's yours. And then you go into my Facebook group where I do once a month a live chit chat and or any questions that people might have as well on it there, and some practice on it.
Because
And
you
I
got
will get round to doing the astrology one. I did that last year face to face, but I will get round to doing that whole course as a downloadable one, but that will take a bit of time. So
yeah,
these are
because
my
it
ideas that I come up with, put them in my website and think I'll do that tomorrow, 6 months later. But that's
no,
it
I've got,
will
yeah,
get
I'm
there.
the same. No, you got like you got the lamp, the symbols as well,
Yes.
numberology.
Yeah. Learning the
Oh
symbols.
wow.
So they're all stuff that's in my course, but just broken down if people don't want to
Mm.
do the whole course.
That's amazing, amazing. And you have got other things that so this is where you can reach to get readings if you wanted to do have a reading. Sorry, my computer's like slow. Oh, here we go. So we've got, where you can you're advertising with your readings there and your reviews and events. Kate, tell us about what events is coming up for coming up.
So I've got one tomorrow night, but that's sold out. That's a local dem that I'm doing. I've got after that it's going to be February Spirit Quest, which is at Western Supermare. I'm there for the whole weekend. And then I don't know, because I don't think I've updated my events on all of it there. I should be going to Texas in the spring, I think, to do some work out there. There's another retreat towards the end of the year. Oh, we've got a psychic cruise that only went out today, so I haven't put that on there. There's a psychic cruise in September for 5 days that we will be working on. So yeah, but it's not updated. I know it's not updated. That one's the one for
You
tomorrow.
got a lot. You do an awful lot. Oh, there you go. There's a spiritual
Spirit Quest is
quest
brilliant.
one. Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine, well, a teacher, because I was doing her circle, she told me about that, but I
Amazing.
don't know if I'll be able to make it. But yeah, it looks all fab.
Yeah, it's good
Um,
fun. Really good fun.
yeah, no. So if anyone wants to have a look, please check the website out. Or is interested in doing the tarot, because there was a few people that do read it, uses the cards and stuff here as well. Yeah, I'm just like intrigued. Do you do oracle cards with your tarot, or do you just do
No,
tarot?
just do tarot. The only time I use an oracle card, which I'm very, very rarely, is if they were really challenging cards and the
Mm-hmm.
whole spray. I do a couple of different spreads within a reading, but it would all have to be really challenging to the point where I would need a bit of, because oracle cards are always pretty positive
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So I would get one of those if I felt like I just needed some extra inspiration to help somebody muddle through a difficult time. But I can't remember the last time I used oracle cards, to be honest. I find oracle cards similar to the major. They talk about bigger situations and general
Mm-hmm.
situations, whereas tarot
Mm-hmm.
with the minor gets to
Oh,
the nitty gritty, and I like that nitty gritty.
yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
the general just overflow there.
No, I get, and that's the good thing about this line of work, in it, because everybody works differently,
Yeah,
and you get to experience different things from different people. So you kind of like attract people that enjoy that kind of line, the
absolutely.
way you work and stuff, because what you.
Oh, I've lost you there.
Oh, so we're back. Yeah,
Back.
a
Yeah.
signal went then. Um,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's
I've got
that's
friends
what I.
that use oracle cards and they love them. I just, for me, they just don't resonate with me. But I like
Mm,
Lenormand cards, Lenormand cards. I love runes as
yeah.
well. But angel cards,
Yeah.
I like angel card. I prefer angel numbers. But angel cards and oracle cards, I've never massively resonated with, but I've got friends that just love them and it works really well. And the pictures and the
Yeah.
colours are lovely on them.
My girls, they love the oracle cards. I like the mixing of the both, you know, so I do like to mix them. But like I said, it's everybody's works differently. So
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's there's no rule, there's no real rules, is there?
no,
It's whatever
no.
for you and you know you feel drawn to. Danny wants to know, so there's a how do you stop picking up others' emotions? So I suppose closing down, would that be? I would
Yeah, I mean,
imagine.
when you're doing the reading, you do pick up the emotions, but you want to.
Mm,
Um, you learn with, for me anyway, I learned with my guides to when to kind or how far to go with that. So if my client's crying, there's no point me crying. But very, very occasionally, the emotion it does, especially when the spirit comes super close, can feel that, and especially when it's a child. So sometimes my eyes will get a bit watery, and I'll have to be like, get a grip, girl, and be more in control of it because that's not going to help my client at all. But yeah, I'm quite good with boundaries, closing down, or not necessarily closing down, but just knowing how far to go with it there. And there's odd clients that, especially when I first started, I definitely took things home and it would play in my mind. Anything to do with children is very difficult for it not to play on my mind. And I would come home thinking like, oh God, that poor child, or this or that. Sometimes you're like, do I need to phone social services there? So I have separate cards for counsellors, that friends of mine that are counsellors or therapists. What's the other one that she does? Hypnosis. They're not past life, but hypnosis for counselling, if you like. Trauma specialist. So if it's quite a
yeah.
difficult situation, then I'll always say like, I'm not a counsellor, but
Mm,
here is, although I did do basic counselling, and actually that's probably what came in to picking up, helping to stop other people's emotions. I did basic counselling many years ago, and I didn't realise then that I would use it now, and it helps you differentiate between your needs and your client's needs. So
mm,
my needs might be to put my arm around them and want to hug them, but that might not be what they want. So I
yeah.
learned that in the counselling side of things. So you can detach yourself a little bit from that. But yeah, I see back to back people. So as soon as one's come in, once it's finished, I get 2 minute break and then I've got another one in. So I haven't really got time to think about what's just gone on, other than
Yeah.
just the odd couple. If it is something that's quite traumatic, I might think, oh God, hope they're right. I never message them afterwards and check in with them because I don't think that's my business. If they want me to check in, they'll check in. But
Yeah.
I don't check in with people unless I've got to know them over a period of time. They've come back and they've become a bit of a friend. But I tend to just do the job and then I'm on to the next one, really.
Hmm.
There.
Yeah, you got to quickly in it. You have got to like be very quick when it
Yeah.
comes to giving the readings like that. Well, Kate, is there anything else you want to share with us?
I don't think so. I would loved it though. Thank you very much for asking me.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. Oh, we ain't finished yet.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I,
Okay.
right. I got because I do this with everybody. Um, so I got these cards, right? And it's questions, but I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
shuffle,
Okay.
right? And and it's just like basic questions. I don't know where the other bits in it because I wasn't organized this evening. So, but I'm gonna shuffle. And you okay to answer questions? We can answer
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And if the
Give
people
it a
in the
go.
chat want to answer, be my guest. So that'd be super cool. Right. So let's just give it. It's quite a few there. I don't know what we're gonna get, Kate.
We should know,
So
shouldn't we? Really, we should know.
right, okay, so here we go. What are the top 3 things on your bucket list?
Oh, top three things. Oh, wow. Definitely um traveling,
Yeah,
seeing certain different parts of the world. I'd love to go to Thailand and all those other places near there, Cambodia. I'd love to go there. So they're on my bucket list. I've self-published my books and my cards, so I would like to have at least one book that's not self-published, that's published by a publisher, proper publisher there. I don't know, my third bucket list. I don't know. I can't think.
That's okay. You've answered a couple. I'm still trying to think of my the two bucket list. I haven't really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose mine would be go at checking concerts out. I do like a bit of concerts. So that'd be one of the bucket list. There. I don't know any other I can think of off the top of my head. So you've done better than me.
Danny's
I feel like
I've reached a lot of goals. I feel like I've done a lot of things that I'm really all right with. So yeah, I feel quite blessed anyway, really.
I would say so. You know, but it's well earned. You know, what you put into it is what you earn, isn't it? So yeah. So I don't know what I'm gonna have to think on that one, Danny says. So Danny still says because she loves her oracle cards. I'm starting to get drawn to tarot. I'm gonna practice with my journal. Take my family on holiday. That's all I can think of. Well, that's something, isn't it? That's something.
Yeah.
And it's doable. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Ready?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. I'll leave them. They don't want to. So I'll just leave that. Okay. Let's see if we can get a different color. Right. Right. We're going to go for gray. Okay. What show on Netflix did you binge watch embarrassingly fast?
Oh gosh, we've watched so much. The last one was Brassic, I think.
I haven't seen that.
I think
what's that? What was that about?
It's it's about a group of a family that are not gypsies, but they just go round either stealing something from someone, or it's a comedy, or they go, but they do everything wrong but for the right reasons. So they try and help someone out, but in helping somebody out they seem to get into trouble. So they go and steal a safe because they wanted to help someone get some money to go towards an operation, for example. So it's stuff like that, but it was a comedy. That was probably the last one, but we've watched loads.
I would say with me, I would say it's not Netflix at the moment, it's Disney Plus I've got. And I know this is going to be like so embarrassing, but I'm binge watching at the moment. Well, I've binge watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I went back in time, and now I'm watching Angel. So I'm binge watching Angel. So there you go.
I do love a binge watch.
I do like a binge watch. Sometimes you just need to de-stress and just get out and into fantasy world. Joe says the Vampire Diaries. So there you go. We've got time for one more.
Yeah, I like
one more. Right, okay. Let's have a look. Try and get a yellow one, shall we, Kate? See what the yellow ones
what are these cards then? What are they? Just like question cards? They're quite cool.
Yeah, icebreakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got them on brain. Oh, it'll come to me. It's terrible. It'll come to me. Sheen. I got them on Sheen.
Oh, okay.
Cheap and cheerful. I thought these would be great for oh yeah, we've got a blue one. So here we go. This is getting personal, okay? What is something you did as a child that your parents still retell the story about?
Oh God, they don't even talk to each other. So Don't know. What do they talk about? The one thing they always say, I was such a moody child, really moody. And whenever we had a family, and my youngest is got me back on that, my karma. But whenever we went out on a family do, which I feel sorry for them now, because I now know all the hard work that goes in the background of trying to get your kids out on a family day or get the family out. But I would always cop a strop for something silly and just would not enjoy the day on purpose.
Yeah.
And if somebody caught me smiling, they'd be like, "Oh, you're all right." I'd be like, no. And then I'd be in a mood because I started off in a mood and I wasn't going to change that, and got so stubborn. So that's the one thing, the story that goes around the whole family all the time, is like that I was just really awkward whenever we went out, and super fussy with food, super fussy. Only ever ate Marmite sandwiches till I was about 30. So
Really? Just
they're the
one night?
stories. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you an embarrassing story, right? So we were going over to Ireland because one of our relatives was getting married. I was only little, right? And I got locked into the boat's toilets, and I was when you're holding, so I ended up wetting my knickers.
Oh no.
And I had to have one of the security people come and unlock the door. So yeah, I was only young. I was only quite young. That was one that gets talked about. The other one our mum always says is that I would I would get on the train, and because they called me Smiler, a lot of people, and she said you would be filled up with change, because people would give me change because of the smile. I thought,
Oh.
just that now, shouldn't I, Kate?
Yeah.
Manifest it now. So that was it. Right. So these are my daughters, by the way. So mum talks about kicking the shed down. Yeah, she kicked the shed down. She was going through a lot, and we had to take the shed down. So I said, right, and she started like going hell for leather with it. So it was, yeah, hardcore. I wish I had strong legs like that. Eating cake out of fridge, or did I imagine that? I think you imagined that. I think that was Luke. Luke was a bugger for that. But I tell you what, Kate, you have been an absolute star. I've actually had an amazing time.
Oh,
Thank you
so much. I've
so
enjoyed it.
much. Yeah, so hang on for a few minutes while we go back to this back scene. Thank you for all that's joined. If you liked what you see, please give it a like, share, and if you like, please, if you're interested in anything of what Kate's doing and that, just check her out. Look in the description box. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you soon. Take care. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.